Hello, everybody. So today we're finally going to be reading His Infatuation, Slasher's Ex-Listener, Book 3. So we are technically in chapter 38, but we're just going to go back a chapter for the purpose of that recap. So I'm going to make this quick and short. Basically, if you guys don't remember from like the previous chapter, because it kind of swoops in and like connects it and makes it better understandable. Basically, we found a Chucky doll, or one of those like good guy dolls, perfect condition, too good to be true. Took it home with us. Billy and Stu helped us. They eventually left, brought it up to our room. Now we are currently in the room with Pennywise. They were talking, their usual thing, and then you explain, he noticed immediately about the doll. He asked about it. Then eventually, he was like, something's wrong about that doll. And eventually Freddy came in and he was like, there's some soul power or something, basically represents that there's something in the doll that is not normal, causes us to get nervous and freak out or something like that, like soul power, something like that. And they just kind of started arguing. Eventually, like, Pennywise and Freddy were fighting about who was better and blah 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 blah. Eventually Norman interrupted them because dinner was coming up, and usually we make it with Norman or we make it with some of the other slashers, and that kind of got us distracted, or kind of pushing our thoughts away from the doll about it literally having soul power and probably being alive. And yeah, so that's it. We just went our butts down to make dinner. So before we get straight into the chapter, let's get a hear of them warnings. Getting into these warnings, there will be mentions of guts, violence, peeping Tom, not my words, Ryan's words, and tense moments. Now, do keep in mind this is a slasher story, so it's gonna get a little bloody and whatnot, but it is slashers. It's already in the title. So if you do not like that, this video and the rest of this series will not be for you. Anyways, y'all have been warned. Enjoy the story, y'all. Chapter 38, Soul Power. If you say so. Dipping his head as a nod a few minutes later, Norman dubiously agreed. The dark-haired male looking a little worried about your safety, while Miguel flashed a glance coldly in the direction of Freddy. It's not the unstained state it's in, sweet face. It's the sweet, sweet soul power it's got. The mischievous dream demon mentioned in a mocking tone, idly watching you prepare for dinner for the rest of the evening and scraping his fingernails across the kitchen top with nothing but boredom. So there's soul power it's got, you ask in a quizzical manner, finishing the meal before facing Freddy full on. What exactly is that? It's a son of a bitch to explain. The sadistic demon mused thoughtfully, now sitting above the countertop and scratching it that way. Then he shot you a sly grin, clearly wanting to scare you off, and you're not going to like it, princess. The 8 of you are already pretty traumatizing. You spoke with sarcasm, rolling your eyes and shaking your head with slight annoyance. So quit with the condescending attitude, Frederick. Call me that again, and I won't ever tell you, bitch. He resentfully growled, holding his knife hand out and obviously hating his original name. Understand? Whatever. I've plainly hit a sore spot. You sighed, sticking your tongue out while checking to make sure that dinner wasn't burnt. Just like his ego. Do you want to die? Freddy responded menacingly, glaring you down as you raised your eyebrows, shrugging at his question. Depends. I'm in a house full of overwhelmingly dangerous serial killers. It's not exactly good for my health. You pointed out smoothly, leaning backwards against the other kitchen tabletop with both hands. Being in danger isn't exactly abnormal for me. Same old, same old. There's seriously something wrong with you. The dream demon devilishly chuckled, amused by your blatant lack of well-being. But fine, we both use it. When you say we, I mean that pathetic little clown and myself. Becoming serious, Freddy darkly explained, for real. The slasher dragging his blades back and forth against the kitchen counter tabletop a second time and giving you an actual response. Is that why Penny called you in? Because you're the only other one in our group that can sense and use it? You theorized with curiosity, tilting your head to the side a tiny bit, Wilt's still trying to figure out all of this out. Nobody else here does or can? Not that I know of. And tentatively, Freddy brushed the subject of the doll and Pennywise to the side, continuing on with the soul power while also communicating on the rest of the serial killers. Commenting on the rest of the serial killers. Myers is your own personal psychopathic bodyguard. Voorhees is your own literal child who goes around slashing at things. Bates is just an upset, angsty teen. Lecter is nothing but a gaslighting cannibal. And those two teenagers were nothing but a pitiful excuse for a horror movie killer. That stupid clown is the only one I can send soul power in right now. Okay. You don't have to insult the others over and over again. You interrupted tiredly, checking on your mail now with a small amount of exasperation. All I wanted to know about was what was the supposed soul power that was in said doll, and how come you two knew about it so much? Because him and I both use it. Freddy taunted jeeringly. We want to use it. It makes us feel good, strong, powerful. So what? It's like food for you? You uneasily replied, bringing plates into the dining room before placing them onto the table for yourself, Mikael, Norman, Pennywise, and Hannibal. You know he didn't eat the same food as you, but he still needed cutlery and such for tonight. Well, in a sense. Freddy hummed evilly, his angelic tone flowing through his voice. Whilst you merely rolled your eyes just like earlier. But wait, I'm not finished explaining yet. Believe me, I want you to be. You muttered under your breath with a sigh. Feeling the dream demon place his hands on your shoulders from behind before pulling you into a psychotic and possessive hug of his own. All I asked was for a small summary of this so-called soul power, not a huge plot line. What brought on what brought this all in all of a sudden? Nothing really. I just saw how much fun you were having with Myers and that clown earlier. He brought up with a wicked glint in his eye, in his gaze, resting his chin on your right against your right shoulder and causing you to grow insanely embarrassed. What I choose to do in my free time has nothing to do with you. You decided firmly, your cheeks turning a heavy pink as your heartbeat accelerated exponentially. So just leave that alone. Oh, it doesn't, does it? The motherfucker just straight up like, oh yeah, I was watching you guys. What the fuck? Oh, it doesn't, does it? The demon-like slasher murmured seductively into your ear from behind, your shyness increasing by the minute while he kept on behaving like a creepy sadist. Because I don't think that's quite true. I mean, after all this time, you haven't really gotten the chance to spend any time with me yet, you know. You spend time with me in the dream world, you wryly noted, turning around and facing him yet again. So, what, now you're jealous? I'm more bored than jealous, sweetheart. Stroking his finger knives through your colored hair as delicately as possible, Freddy flashed you an arrogant and twisted smile, clearly wanting to provoke you in some way or another. I mean, yeah, last night we spent some time together, but the night beforehand you passed out and fell to the floor. After all, what sort of human being does that? A tired one. That too. You defended your actions with an aggravated look, shooting him a strict glare as you pushed past the dirty-minded demon and headed back into the kitchen to move the dinner out. So can't you just give me a human minute alone, or pester me at the dinner table, or bother me in the dream world later on? Oh, come on. Don't you want to know more about soul power? He purred with a psychotic state of mind, fluttering his eyes before acting wrongfully wholesome. It's more than just power, you know. It's retracted from leave it alone, Kruger. She gets it. Penny snapped, materializing by your side and literally shoving him to the kitchen floor. I think you've explained enough, so shut up. Why? Afraid she'll become scared of you? Is that it? Freddie half laughed mechanically, maniacally, disappearing and reappearing to his feet within mere seconds. Seriously, you didn't even see him climb to his feet or anything. No, it's because she doesn't need to know this. If anything, go and learn more about that stupid doll. Pushing him a second time, Pennywise narrowed his eyes and stood in front of you, almost hissing his response in return. I really get under that non-human skin of yours, don't I? The demonic male grinned naughtily, finding the killer clown's fury to be hilariously funny. What is it? You don't want Wyatt to learn more about your true nature? This isn't just about me. Penny denied him at once, his venomous glare intensifying with every passing second. This is about her protection. I don't know what's in that thing. Maybe it is just a doll. Maybe it isn't. What I do know is that we should make sure just in case. So stop trying to set me off, Dream Demon. Otherwise, you're not going to like what happens next. Guys. Freaking out, you darted out slightly in front of Penny and also slightly to the side of both of them, pressing your hands in the middle of their chests so you can calm them down. Well, to some degree. After all, Freddie wasn't exactly irritated. It was Pennywise who needed some time to cool off. All I want to do is eat dinner and unwind after today. So come on, you wouldn't want to stress me out more now, would you? To begin with, Pennywise kept on glaring at the sadistic dream demon, his golden gaze flickering back towards you from time to time as he debated on what to do, how to react. But then, he became unusually placid, taking a step or two back before he held your hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. No, I don't want that. The killer clown promised you loyally, I promise. Ugh, fine then, be a bitch. Freddie scoffed with boredom, rolling his eyes and shaking his head at the clownish killer a couple seconds later. Then he blew you a flirty kiss. See you later, hot stuff. Go. Don't make our plans to hang out tonight sound so seductive. With more sarcasm flowing from your tone, you tried your best to ignore the alluring dream demon, finally managing to place food on the dining table, directly next to the plates as you called the others into the room. Thank God. Chapter 39. Peeping Tom. Wyatt, oh, I'm so excited that you're eating with us again. Norman bursted out brightly, leaping into your arms before hugging you head on. I ate with you guys yesterday, didn't I? Frowning in amusement, you wrapped your arms carefully around Norman and patted his back with comfort, wondering how he'd missed you within 24 hours. You knew why, but holy crap. It must really take skill to be able to care about somebody this much. How is this going to be any different? We're just going to talk, eat, and then clean up, head to bed, etc., etc. Quite the contrary, my beloved Wyan. Hannibal's pleasant voice cut conventionally into the conversation. The coffee-haired male stepping into the dining room before flashing you an enticingly polite smile. Then, after taking the palm of your hand in his, he pressed the tip of your fingers against his lips, his sweet smile only increasing once he successfully kissed you. Excuse me. Did I just read that wrong? I think I read that wrong. Then, after taking the palm of your hand in his, he pressed the tip of your fingers against his lips, his sweet smile only increasing once he successfully kissed you. What? Are you planning on messing up my heartbeat tonight? Is that your new favorite pastime all of a sudden? You warily theorized, throwing Hannibal an amused smile in response to your thumping heart and heavily pink-haired painted cheeks. The smartly dressed male chuckled dryly, finding your sharp-tongued answer to be relatively funny whilst he gave you a gentle embrace from the side, around your waist, instead of a forceful one like Norman's. Possibly. He murmured into your ear with a tinge of mischief, his loving lips brushing from your ear slightly down to the edge of your neck. However, he didn't try anything vulgar, instead, moving back and stroking the strands of your colored hair sweetly. Before you could sit down, though, you got yanked into an incredibly big bear hug from behind. Two familiar arms curling around your body as a playful grin stretched across your facial features and made your curiosity vanish. Hey there, Mikael, you warmly greeted, pleased by his absolutely adoring actions and cute behavior thus far. Come to join me and the rest of us for dinner tonight? Possessively nodding, he agreed to your words before shaking his head, sending mixed messages towards you while you spun around and snuggled into the stalker's chest yourself. Look, you joined us last night. I know you dislike the others, but I like it when you're around. Never forget that. Whipping out his trusty notepad, Mikhail scribbled down what he meant by the confusing nodding and shaking of his head, his response causing you to laugh once you'd read his reply. The nodding of the head was a yes to you. The shake of the head was a no to the others. Clearly, you laughed lightly again, shooting Mikhail a mocking smile before elbowing him in the side and sitting down at the dinner table. Mikhail standing directly behind you with a hidden smirk of his own. Oh, what have you cooked for us tonight, YN? Norman exclaimed in excitement, clapping his hands together whilst also rushing to sit down right next to you. Well, I just thought venison burgers would be an alright meal for a Friday evening, you know? You nervously explained, wondering what they think. Hannibal never ate your food. Can't imagine why. Norman ate absolutely anything. Mikael and Penny the same. You never cooked for Billy, Stu, or Jason, and Freddie would if you had asked, but never needed human food. Oh, I love those, Norman happily praised, complimenting your choice of cooking instantaneously, while a look of bewilderment danced across Pennywise's features. The clown plainly perplexed by what that was. Another laugh slipped through your lips, your fingers pressing against your mouth as you swiftly attempted to stifle the sound. But alas, it mostly failed. I'm sorry, Penny. He apologized playfully, not wanting to add to his confusion. It's just a meal. A venison burger is like a beef burger, except a venison burger is made with ground deer meat instead. How did he not know that? Norman muttered under his breath, insultingly, resentment washing over his face as he continued to belittle and make fun of Pennywise. I mean, seriously, you're supposed to be billions and billions of years old, and this is basic human stuff. Norman! You called his name coldly, catching his attention and causing hurt to flood his eyes immediately. Don't provoke someone for not knowing something. Besides, it's trivial information anyway. Leave Penny alone. YN? Norman stammered your name with a stunned expression, tears pricking at either side of his eyes whilst you suppressed the urge to roll your eyes and scold him again. You stood up for me? Pennywise noted curiously, shock glowing through his golden gaze as he sat down on your right. Why? You had nothing to gain. So? What? Am I supposed to? You scoffed with a light scorn, a small smirk flying across your facial features while you flicked your head towards him instead of Norman. You don't always need to have an ulterior motive to defend someone, you know. You don't always need to have a reason. Sometimes people just do it because it's the right thing to do. Or sometimes it just feels like it's the right thing to do at that specific time. Oh, he's so considerate. Hannibal commented charmingly, your eyebrows raising at his remark due to whether or not he was being actually sincere or just condescending. I can't tell if you're simply patronizing me or acting genuinely pleasant for once. You? What in the long word is this? Sardonically replied, taking a bite of your food and finding it quite delicious, but thanks, I guess? Most likely both, the psychiatrist admitted with another amused chuckle, entertained by the fact that you'd figured that out so quickly. But I would never intentionally insult you. Please believe that, Angelo mio. Sure. Turning your attention back towards your food, you decided to just enjoy dinner, finding it fun to occasionally chat with the others and engage in light conversation. It felt nice to just release the stress of today and also regain some energy from eating dinner, especially when Norman had recovered from your weirdly hurtful snap at him. For some reason, even washing the dishes for you cheered him up, your confusion sparkling up after you thanked him. A minute or two afterwards, you covered your mouth and stifled a weary yawn, knowing that soon you'd have to face the irritations of Freddy and his barbaric ideas of fun. Perhaps a shower should help you relax after you had to deal with the dream demon? Yeah, after all, Mikael had given his word as to not look through the window shower curtains, and you definitely trusted him enough to keep said promise. So, once you told the others you were taking a shower before bed, you grabbed a fresh pair of pajamas from your bedroom and headed into the bathroom, placing said sleepwear on top of the cupboard before moving in the direction of the shower, waiting for the water to warm up to your preferred preference of heat. Then, after it was ready, you took your current clothes off and carefully stepped into the shower, sighing with not only content but bliss as well. This shower really did feel nice. So, once you washed your hair with shampoo and conditioner, you delicately rubbed your face too, each and every part of your body feeling fresh and clean now. This was just what you needed in order to face off against Freddy and his unhinged games tonight. Well, at least that's what you thought. Without any warning whatsoever, the shower curtain suddenly flung apart, exposing your naked body throughout the entire bathroom and causing a gas to slip through your lips. Somehow, the bathroom door was open, but luckily nobody was behind it. Your eyes were wide with shock, stunned by the rude, unforeseen motion. What the? You were about to shout Freddy's name and blame him when a familiar flash of white caught your eye. The white blur swinging from side to side of the doorway before disappearing from your sight. But you'd know that mask anywhere. Sure, he had more than one, but they were always stocked in his same drawer, and he always wore them. So the Peeping Tom that had watched you shower this evening, even though you told him not to, was none other than Mikael. Dun dun dun! Chapter 40. Bitter Betrayal. Rage flooded through your veins like hot... Rage flooded through your veins like fiery hot, watery flames of insatiable fury. Hurt and betrayal washing across your facial features once your previous shock have left your thoughts. He broke your promise. Mikael had peeked at your exposed body while taking a shower, without permission. He looked at your chest, your private parts. The person you supposedly trusted broke his promise within the very same day. Gritting your teeth, you struggled to not scream/shout out Mikael's name right then and there, stepping out of the shower before grabbing a fluffy towel and patting yourself hurriedly dry. Then you slipped in your pajamas and you flung the door all the way open, now heavily pissed off as you went to find the untrustworthy stalker. So, you called his name, Mikael appearing right by your side in an instant flash. He was clearly happy to see you, but for once, you weren't too happy to see him. How? You whispered, stepping into the hallway before clenching your fist angrily. How could you? Confusion clouded his beautiful brown eyes, Mikael not understanding what he'd done, or why you were so furious with him. How could I what? What's wrong? Did something happen? He scribbled down a minute or two later, the silent slasher holding the notepad up so you could see his questions ASAP. You promised not to pick at me in the shower. You brought up with a broken tone, pain tears breaking at either side of your eyes while you slowly started to lose it. But before you could confront him properly, you lost your composure completely, not only glaring at him, but also shrieking and sobbing too. You promised not to peek at me in the shower. You know how self-conscious I get about myself. You know how embarrassed it makes me, how uncomfortable I get. You know? Yeah, you still did it. You still did it. Mikael frostily glared back, shaking his head as he ripped out the top notepad page and crumbled it with his fist. throwing the piece of paper onto the ground before writing down his next response. No, and I kept that promise. I said I wanted to. Why, and not that I would. What the hell are you talking about? You know I would never break my promise. Did something happen? What's going on here? What, now you're trying to play dumb with me? Are you serious right now, Mikhail? You dramatically bursted out through your sobs, shoving his notepad away from you as after his second reply. Don't treat me like a child. I saw the door swing open. I saw the white of your mask pass through the doorway. I saw everything. Ryan, are you okay? Norman called out in concern, standing by the top of the stairs and looking shocked by how enraged you were. Why are you shouting like that? What's going on? I frustrated, you didn't know how to respond. More tears attacking your eyes, whilst you wondered what to say, how to react, what to do. Clenching your fist out of frustration, you grew even more at a loss, your body trembling with resentment whilst your anger almost exploded. YN? You froze from panic, not expecting Hannibal out of all people to call your name out next. Oh no. Had you interrupted the psychiatrist from completing a task? From doing something important? Hannibal? What are you doing here? You freaked out with a horrified stare. Your excuse me. Your voice no louder than a weak stutter as it shook slightly. I'm sorry, did I disturb and irritate you from doing something? Well, to answer your first question, I do live here. He chuckled in a teasing tone, walking over to where the three of you were standing before stopping next to your side. And yes, you did disturb me. But please don't worry, dearest. You can never irritate me, even if you wanted to. I was merely just rereading a familiar novel that I owned. That's all. Oh, thank goodness. You breathed out in relief, your rage now simmering down a little as you wiped out your eyes, feeling relatively better. Now then, why don't you go and take a seat in my office to calm yourself down a teeny bit more? I'll be there momentarily, with a glass of water too. I just need to gather all of the details first. Hannibal soothingly exclaimed, curling his arm around your waist while also guiding you over to his office door. Okay. Giving in wearily, you turned your attention away from Mikhail and entered the psychiatrist's office, now feeling emotionally exhausted by how upset you've grown. I really do appreciate your support, especially around Mr. Peeping Tom over there. Did you actually do what she's accusing you of? He suspiciously inquired, frowning at your allegation and questioning Mikhail quietly at the office's front door. That wasn't me, you have to believe me. The stalker scrawled his next message stubbornly, writing as honestly as he possibly could. Do you really think that I could hide the truth from you? Do you honestly believe that I'd lie about peeping? I'd be honest about that. Holy shit, now this is something I'd love to see. Hopping into the hallway, Freddy suddenly appeared next to Hannibal and Miguel, a smirk sliding across his face while he crossed his arms seconds afterwards. So what do we have here? Has Myers committed an innocent crime against our beloved Wyatt in some way or another? Miguel shook his head sulkily, already insulted by your claims against him and becoming overwhelmingly offended. What did you even do to Wyatt anyway? Norman wondered inquisitively, frowning at the stalker's actions and questioning what he did. According to YN, Mikhail peeped at her in the shower, even after he promised not to. The psychiatrist exclaimed to the dark-haired male with a disappointed sigh, rolling his eyes at Mikhail's so-called behavior before shaking his head and grabbing a tiny glass of water. How come that's such a big deal to YN then? And Pennywise mused from curiosity, materializing directly next to Norman and finding the entire situation strange. Is peeping at someone through the shower really that bad? She has nothing to be self-conscious about after all. Peeping at somebody through the shower can show a tremendous amount of not only disrespect and disloyalty, but it's also insanely crude, unrefined, and vulgar. Hannibal informed the clown in a serious tone of voice, pointing out why you were so upset and what Miguel had specifically done to hurt you altogether. So it's like a human thing then. Penny commented casually, watching whilst he took note of Hannibal holding the glass of water. It's not just a human thing. If you must know, clown, it's a negative sentiment that you should never, ever commit. Norman icily interjected, clenching his fist and growing irritated on your behalf. Precisely. So, it would most likely be in your best interest to stay out of here for now, Mikhail. Away from her. At least for the moment, all right? Hannibal brought up as politely as possible, keeping his personality not only pleasant, but respectful too, leaving Mikhail, Norman, Freddy, and Pennywise all alone in the hallway. The psychiatrist followed you into his office and passed you the tiny glass of water, silently enjoying the special moment he got to spend time with you. Chapter 41. The Blame Game. Now then, why don't you tell me exactly what happened between you and Mikhail? There's not really all that much to tell, to be perfectly honest with you, you awkwardly admitted, holding the glass of water in the middle of both hands before taking a sip or two. I was taking my daily shower, and as I was, a flash of white flickered from behind the door. You can't say that doesn't sound suspicious. True. We have every single right to be on edge, / distressed. The psychiatrist calmly agreed with you, folding his legs while also holding his hands together. After all, what Mike Myers did was certainly no laughing matter. I guess I didn't think that Mikhail would try something like that right out of the blue. You sighed unhappily, placing the glass of water down on the table so that you could tuck a strand of hair back behind your ear and console yourself at the very same time. And right after promising me not to peep at me too. Could it be possible that it might have been one of the others? Hannibal mused in a casual manner, causing you to bite your lip and ponder over said conflict. To borrow one of Mikhail's masks so they could prank you from behind. You really think that one of the others would actually go that far? You questioned, with the intellectual male uneasily, wondering if their cruelty and boredom would steam that far. Believe me, I definitely wouldn't doubt it. It wouldn't surprise me if it was one of Kruger's silly little schemes or something along those lines, he seriously stated, shaking his head before raising his eyebrows and slating the dream demon off almost immediately. But then, that would mean that I threw Mikhail under the bus for absolutely no reason. You bursted out in a frantic fashion, freaking out and worrying how hurt the stalker must have felt. Though, you can't necessarily know that for sure, Miyamata. YN. Hannibal brought up mildly, leaning back a little bit whilst he muled over his previous words for you. You can't know for sure whether or not Myers truly was behind your Peeping Tom crimes or not. It's highly likely that he was. However, jumping to conclusions wouldn't be such a good thing to do at this time. Well. I certainly didn't think you'd have that in you, Mikey boy. The dream demon wickedly hummed, acting unbelievably smug while he messed around, and mocked Mikhail some more. What an unusually bizarre surprise. Whoever saw YN wasn't me. I don't care what or who she saw in the doorway. That wasn't me. They were a fake. Someone must have stolen one of my masks, but something is wrong. Something isn't right. The pale-faced stalker scribbled down furiously, holding up so that Freddy, Norman, and Pennywise could all see. So what? You're saying that our precious YN could possibly be in danger? Freddy cooed in an angelic tone, acting all high and mighty as he taunted the silent killer. What are you suggesting that we do then? You do then. Apologize? Demand forgiveness? I highly doubt that bitch is going to forgive you around about now, considering that she thinks you did it at this very moment. Did you actually do what YN accused you of? Be honest now. Norman demanded firmly, narrowing his eyes and finding Mikhail oddly suspicious. Why would I lie? One of you pricks must have stolen one of my masks and used it to prank her while she was in the shower, which is pretty low, by the way, may I add. Mikhail scrawled towards him next, holding his notepad up before whipping out his kitchen knife and clutching it with his right hand menacingly. Well, it wasn't me. Freddy deceivably responded. Leaning against the hallway as he scraped his fingernails vigorously against the wallpaper, I would have admitted to my felony and took all of the credit. I would never! Norman stopped dramatically, sounding extremely hurt and aggravated by the recent accusation. And just for the record, Kruger, that's disgraceful. Why would I do something that I didn't even know was offensive? I wasn't even around during that time. The clownish killer denied an excessively bored tone of voice, releasing another sigh while he watched you and Hannibal exit his office once you were finished speaking. Well, it was clearly one of you. Just admit it already, you bastards. I don't deserve to be thrown under the bus like this. Miguel venomously wrote, showing his notepad to everyone else before shoving it back in his boiler suit pocket a couple of seconds later, so that he could just swing his kitchen knife at the other furiously and violently. Whoa there, asshole. Don't blame me for something I didn't do. The dream demon darkly retaliated, swiping his gloved hand straight back at Miguel and growing slightly pissed off at the sudden attack. Understand? Miguel ignored Freddy's warning and swung at him a second time, the stalker slicing through his stripped sweater and losing his temper during the process. The demonic killer swore under his breath, growling at how the stalker had gone for him and him specifically, feeling threatened by everybody. The white-masked male ended up attacking each and every one of the serial killers, Norman, Pennywise, Freddy, again, and even Hannibal too. Prepared for this, the psychiatrist used his pocket knife and clearly dodged Miguel's outburst, curling his arms around your waist and protecting you at the very same time. You, though, were shocked by how malicious your mute partner was reacting, not realizing just how insulted Miguel really was. But if you didn't do something quick, this situation could just spiral completely and utterly out of control. You had to do something to calm Miguel down, and you had to do something to calm Miguel down now. Miguel, wait a minute, there is no need for this, you exclaimed in a stunned manner, your eyes widening at him, swinging his knife around erratically. What are you doing? Your questions caused Miguel to stop for a moment, the silent stalker pushing his weapon back in his pocket so he could chat with you once again. I'm teaching these jackasses not to fuck with me, aka teaching them a lesson. Because I don't know what you think I did, YN. Really, I didn't. I don't know how else to put it, or how to prove my innocence, but it wasn't me, okay? He replied as truthfully as he could, genuine tears of desperation pricking at the edges of his gaze while he answered you. Okay, I believe you, I'm sorry. Finding honesty in his words, you were able to forgive him, breathing out in relief when you wrapped your arms around Miguel and gave him a gentle hug afterwards. Let's not have a repeat of earlier, okay? I'd rather not be peeped in the shower a second time. It's not fun. Chapter 42. Morning Mischief. Still feeling salty, Miguel narrowed his eyes and shook his head, silently telling you that whoever you saw wasn't him. But in the end, he let it go, realizing that there wasn't really any way he could mainly convince you. So, after hugging you back, he rested his head on top of yours and then disappeared, the stalker obviously either having enough for tonight and waiting to watch you, or waiting to watch you sleep tonight. Either way, you were fine with it. With a weary sigh, you politely said goodnight to Hannibal, Norman, and Pennywise, rolling your eyes towards Freddy before giving him a sarcastic wave and leaving him to vanish into thin air a minute or two later. Heading into your bedroom, you wished everybody else sweet dreams, with Norman tagging behind you like a little lost puppy, and Freddy plainly wanting to mess around with your nightmares. But you definitely demanded every single male turn around. What you got changed into your pajamas? After you headed into the bathroom, again, you brushed your teeth and felt excessively more exhausted as the time passed. Flicking your bedroom light off and shutting the door before flopping onto your bed right next to Norman as he curled his arms around your waist and hugged you abruptly from behind. Falling asleep, you dealt with Freddy's almost immediately afterwards, the dream demon messing with your mind during the dream world while also attempting to make you feel even more tired. Fighting against new nightmares, you freaked up you freaked out and woke up at around 9:30/10 a.m., feebly gasping and sitting up before Norman had even woken up. Stifling a yawn, you rubbed at your eyes and glanced at the time, recognizing that it was earlier than your usual waking hours. God damn it, Freddy. Oh well. It's not like falling back asleep would fix any of your former conflicts. If anything, that would cause more and more problems between you and that demonic slasher. Yeah, it would probably be best if you just hold on. Wait a second. No. Wait. That wasn't possible. S- Slipping to Slipping your feet over to the other side of the bed, you curiously stood up, now approaching the good guy doll and noticing how the doll's position had changed because the doll wasn't in the box anymore. He was sitting on top of your drawers and creepily smiling. Was this a prank? Was one of the others messing with you or something? Because if so, this wasn't very funny, or at least not to you. Wanting to make sure the others definitely weren't joking with you, you cautiously advanced a clean toy and pushed back the soft spot on the back of his head. Surprised when gears whirled and the doll's blue eyes, baby blue yet tony eyes snapped open. Weird. Should you speak to the doll? What were you supposed to say? Staring back at the box, you saw the main phrase you were told to tell the good guy doll. Hi, I'm YN. What's your name? So that's what you did. Telling the doll your name in a soft tone of voice so that Norman could stay asleep, the doll not particularly activating towards you. He then suddenly replied in a high-pitched little voice of his own, his lips badly out of sync with his words as his head swiftly swiveled in the direction of where you were standing. Was he just terribly programmed? Or was it all just because you needed to fix him? Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend till the end. Heidi ho, ha ha ha. The good guy doll greeted in a bubbly and bright manner, his words making you jump and feel startled out of absolutely nowhere. Well, aren't you something? You spoke to the toy softly, giving the doll a good-mannered high five and doing your best to be civil. Pleasure to meet you, Chucky. I guess I'm your friend too, huh? When you're already awake? Norman mumbled sleepily, rubbing at his eyes before sitting up and speaking to you. Yeah, I've been up since 9:30/10, you sheepishly admitted, turning your attention away from Chucky and talking to Norman instead. How'd you sleep anyway? You feeling okay this morning? I slept great last night, and thanks to those hyposil pills you lent me too. The dark-haired male mentioned with immense gratitude, swinging his legs over to the opposite side of the bed and standing up moments later. Hey, no, I guess it worked out for both of us in the end anyway. Laughing lightly, you wrapped your arms around Norman and gave him your usual morning hug, happy that he wasn't massively tired. You finally got some good sleep, and I finally managed to pacify Freddy, well, to some degree. Are you seriously going to keep that creepy thing? Norman coolly inquired, flashing a cautious glance towards the good guy doll and growing oddly uneasy. Norman, relax. It's just a silly old doll. It calls itself Chucky, and it only says 3 phrases that it's supposed to. That is all. You comforted your boyfriend casually, doing your best to keep him calm and console him all at once. I don't know. It seems unusually different than the rest of its kind, he unsteadily declared, insulting the toy and eyeing the doll with ultimate dislike. Here, he can learn your name and everything. You just have to give him a chance and inform him. Come on, Norman. Norman's like, hell no. You argued with a pleading tone of voice, waiting for him to turn around while you got dressed into your usual clothes for the day. I suppose so. Norman agreed, picking the doll up and spinning around whilst you got changed out of your pajamas, but Kruger and Pennywise even sensed soul power in it. Don't you think that's strange? Well, maybe Freddy and Penny were just messing around, you commented nonchalantly, shaking your head as you completed getting ready, or perhaps you just didn't know what they were talking about. I don't know, YN. This doll seems... Oh, Angelo mio, good morning. Hannibal called from your doorway politely, shooting you an incredibly sweet smile and gentle gaze. My apologies. I tried knocking after I called your name the very first time, but it appeared that you didn't seem to notice. I'm extremely sorry. I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions and assumed that... Assumed? How come you assumed? I was just about to head downstairs regardless. Your curiosity remarked, dropping your hairbrush down on top of your drawers before flashing him a shy smile in return. But a good morning to you. I pray you slept well last night? I certainly received the required amount. The intelligent male respectfully responded, showing you another soft smile before replying to your first question and telling you the real truth. And to answer genuinely, I just assumed that Kruger had given you even more nightmare terrors, to be perfectly honest. Oh, Hannibal, Freddy may be irritating, but he swore not to cause any more exhaustion. He swore not to cause my exhaustion because overly excessive or extreme, so really, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. You replied to him with a mischievous amusement, placing your hands on top of his shoulders before pressing your lips delicately against his own. Just fine. Well, as long as you're sure, mia cara. Hannibal murmured in deep amusement of his own, holding you by your waist and hugging you close at the same time. I wouldn't want some childish dream demon putting you in danger of all of his pathetic lack of compassion and consideration towards others. And I wouldn't start a fight between all of you merely because of how easy it is for you to provoke others. You dryly retaliated, rolling your eyes and becoming sarcastic after you broke free from his grasp, brushing past him and heading into the hallway. Touché. The psychiatrist chuckled devilishly, Norman throwing him a smug smirk and following you out of the room almost immediately. Chapter 43. Saturday Exhaustion. Heading downstairs, you walked into the hallway and got instantly greeted by Pennywise, the clownish killer, pulling you into a humongous bear-like hug and twirling you around like a little child, his actions making you release a soft giggle. Good morning to you too, Penny. You hummed aloud happily, wrapping your arms around him in return and feeling cheerful too. How are you feeling thus far? Everything all right with you? I got pretty bored throughout the night. The world just seems so dull when you're not around, honey bun. Pennywise complained with his usual impatience, shaking his head as he held you closer towards his chest. I see, you dryly replied, smiling at how much he missed you before breaking away and continuing towards the kitchen to make some breakfast, mostly for yourself because of how hungry you were becoming rather than for the others. I'm so sorry to hear that you were bored. Well, I wasn't bored. A certain voice purred seductively. Freddy popping up behind you, whilst he decided to curl his arms around you also. Last night might have been the best night of my life. I'm sure it was. You spoke after him with a sarcastic tone of voice, grabbing several ingredients from the cupboards in the fridge so you could begin cooking. I'm so grateful for the scary-ass night and the way you let me touch you last night. The dream demon devilishly murmured, his knifed hand slowly stroking across the top of your leg as he rested his head against your shoulder at the very same time. Wait, what? Norman's eyes widened at Freddy's words. The younger slasher standing in the kitchen's doorway and listening in on your sexually explicit conversation. What did you and Kruger do last night? Nothing, Norman. He consoled the emotional male quickly, internally cursing at the demonic killer and how flirtatious he genuinely made everything sound nowadays. You know how erotic Freddy makes almost everything seem. And you know he does it on purpose. He's a complete, utter jackass. You were such a naughty girl earlier, kitten. So nasty, man. Burning my eyeballs. Freddy angelically cooed, while he carried on corrupting the conflict and causing more and more chaos in the process. I didn't know you even had it in you. I'm impressed. What? What's he talking about? Norman asked suspiciously, betrayed tears pricking at the edge of his eyes as his entire body twitched and his hands clenched together by his sides. What did you and him do in the dream world, huh? Freddy, so help me God, I will end you one of these days. Or nights. You muttered under your breath, the last part of your sentence almost inaudible whilst you threatened him. Before he could retaliate, you broke free from his mocking grasp and turned to face Norman fully, flashing the fuming male an honest and sincere smile while you began consoling him. Norman, please calm down. You started soothingly. used to his shaken and selfish temper tantrums by this point. You know I don't like to see you like this. It hurts me. But what did you do with Kruger? Was nothing more than Freddie deliberately stretching the truth. You truthfully told Norman, interrupting his response so that you could swiftly pacify his wounded thoughts. Come on now. Do you genuinely take me for one of those girls? Last night was like every other night. I go to sleep, this asshole scares me a bit, we spend a little bit of time speaking, and then my alarm finally wakes me up. Really? He whispered in a slightly shaken voice. His self-conscious and stressed out boy, now wiping at his eyes after his former fury had slowly but surely simmered down, bringing back your soft-hearted smile from merely a minute or two ago. You walked closer towards him, holding both of his hands in yours whilst the two of you continued chatting. Really? Ugh, fuck this. Now I'm bored. Freddie groaned with slight annoyance, irritated about how quickly you could console and calm down Norman, especially since he used to be exceptionally good at winding him up and pushing his buttons. Yeah, I kind of figured you would be. He retaliated breezily, knowing just how frustrated the Dream Demon would be due to his deceiving remarks being found out and shut down almost instantaneously. It's not that hard to notice your sneaky little schemes nowadays. Oh, not that hard, is it? The mischievous slasher sweetly repeated, leaning against one of the kitchen countertops and shooting you an insanely creepy smile. Guess I'll just have to make them even more cruel and cold-hearted than usual, huh, princess? That's not really what I meant. Catch you later, beautiful. No, wait, don't you dare. Looks like I've got some planning to do. Before you could sharply order him to stop, Freddie released another one of his mechanical laughs and vanished straight into thin air, leaving you to softly sigh and shake your head, wondering what was he thinking of doing. Knowing him, it definitely wouldn't be pretty. Well, hell, it'd probably be even more dangerous than merely just messing around with your roommates. God damn it. Wondering what to say to Norman once Freddie had dramatically departed, your body automatically stiffened up, your hands unintentionally dropping from his as anxiety and unexpectedly washed over through you. Mikhail, oh God, was he mad at you for blaming him? After all, he hadn't followed you into your room last night. Neither had you seen him there when you previously woken up. And he wasn't moving forwards to hug you either. He was just standing there, right outside the kitchen doorway, his brown eyes showing no ounce of emotion while they did nothing but stare obsessively into your own. Mikhail? You hesitantly called his name, praying he hadn't snapped or lost his composure after your encounter with him last night. Are you okay? Girl, who would be okay? Come on now. Feeling awkward, you glance anxiously between not only him but Norman also, the uncomfortable silence surrounding you three rising while you bit your lip and unhappily averted your gaze. There. He probably just felt uneasy too. Perhaps you should just prepare breakfast and speak to him later on. Yeah. So that's what you did. Creating breakfast for yourself, Norman, Penny, and Mikhail, in case he felt like eating on the side. Hannibal, of course, didn't eat your previous recipes, but appreciated your sweet thoughtfulness and kind offers regardless. His altruistic charm continuing to shine through the cracks of his characteristics. The cannibalistic slasher carried on eating his meal, handing out his elegant choices like he usually did. Shyly, you rejected his polite offer and used his own argument against him, that you weren't necessarily interested in the same food type as he was. But thankfully, it seemed that Hannibal was intelligent enough to catch on to what was going on almost immediately afterwards. Well, with that, I think I'm finished for this morning, you announced in a gentle voice, collecting everybody's dishes once you stood up and moved towards the kitchen sink. Finished? Penny repeated with a puzzled expression, confusion washing over his facial features, due to him not knowing what you meant by your former words. Are you working on something? Something happened? Penny, it's just another phrase. Why? All Ryan meant was that she completed her breakfast for this morning. That's all. Hannibal interjected calmly, standing up himself while he followed you into the very same room and answered the clown with a condescending tone of his own. Surely you must know what she meant. Surely. Okay, okay, I get it. I get it. Lay off already, cannibal. Pennywise defensively growled, venom dripping from his voice, whilst he flickered between his natural self and his darker form. Wait! Norman stammered in surprise, his eyes widening at your behavior and stopping you from starting to wash up the dishes. Oh, Ryan, stop. Please, please stop. Why? You asked him with a frown, not understanding and therefore growing a little bit weirded out by how oddly worried Norman was. All I did was finish breakfast. You can't tell me there's nothing wrong with finishing my food. I mean, honestly, you're not taking away my freedom from me now, Norman, because if so, I swear, you simply can't wash those dishes. You simply can't. Norman cried out in distress, hugging you from the side and almost causing you to drop the dishes altogether. After all, you told me that you promised that you would let me serve you forever, remember? Remember? I know. Please calm down. You soothingly smiled, allowing Norman to take the dishes and thanking him in the process. Please don't stress yourself out too much. It's not all that it's not all that worth it. But anyway, here are the dirty dishes if you really want to wash them for me. I really do appreciate it. So, with that, Norman turned towards the kitchen sink and began cleaning absolutely everything, humming to himself while completing every single task for you too. So, a lot has happened. Really unexpectedly, really, as well. First we got the Peeping Tom incident. Um, then we got this little situation going on where everyone's blaming each other. Now Miguel distancing himself, because we really did believe that it was him, and we still are kind of uneasy about it. And to which I completely and utterly understand. I would feel pretty uneasy about it as well, if I was in his position. But anyways, guys, who do you guys think the Peeping Tom is? Let me know in the comments down below. There is a lot of ideas, a lot of theories, a lot of this and that, but for the obvious one, I don't think it was Freddy. I do not think it was Freddy. Because, well, Freddy is Freddy, and Freddy would admit to it, like, with 100% honor. Like, as if we were gonna give him, like, a special medal for it. He would say that shit with the utmost of honor, which is crazy, but that's just how Freddy is. So it'll be a little easier for you guys to, like, guess and theorize who it is, because I'm gonna tell you now, it is not Freddy. But yeah, just let me know your theories in the comments. Anywho, I hope you guys did enjoy it, though. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. Sorry for a little bit of a month delay for this story. I have been catching up, adding stories, whatnot. Turns out we might finish 2 to 3 stories, depending if I'm lucky enough, so we can start adding even more stories into this. But it'll take as long as it'll take. Before anyone comments, yes, I do know that that the author has made a new book for this series, book 4. I am quite aware, and I have not read it myself personally because I do not want to get spoiled. Like, I do not want to, I want to read it, like, both in surprise together. So, but we've made some pretty good progress through the story. It's pretty long, not gonna lie to you. So here is the plan so far as it goes. When we finish the 3rd book, I then will be starting the 4th book. I do not know if they're gonna have more than like 4 or 5 books. I'm not too sure, but it doesn't really matter. As soon as I finish with one book, I will start the other, and they will all have a separate playlist until the series is officially done. And then if you guys would like me to, I can combine them all together so that it could be a humongous mega series. But thank you guys in the comments down below for letting me know. Little shout out to y'all. Anywho, you saw that your girl's gotta go. I shall see y'all in the next futuristic video. Keep an eye out for the Toby fanfic that I'm supposed to read very soon, so I'm excited for that. Anyway, stay safe, guys. Have a good day / good night. I shall see y'all in the next video. Bye and peace, y'all.